this news this morning about these impeachment proceedings moving forward against Secretary Mayorkas. Congressman, your reaction to that, and how would you describe the job he's done so far?
I think Mayorkas is doing the best job that he can, to be quite frank.
New Customs and Border Protection data obtained by CBS News show that agency is on track to process more than 300,000 migrants, an all-time monthly high. That includes record numbers of families and children. Meanwhile, cities, states, and federal law enforcement report being overwhelmed as the ripple effects spread from border communities to all across the country.
The fight between the White House and Texas Governor Greg Abbott is reaching a new level. The Biden administration is now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to let the U.S. Border Patrol cut razor wire at the border. Last year, Texas sued to halt the wire removal, claiming that it is a destruction of state property. This is video that Governor Abbott posted on social media showing the cutting and removing of that razor wire. Texas officials explain that it's effective in keeping migrants from entering the United States. A federal appeals court recently ordered Border Patrol officials to stop cutting the wire pending court proceedings. That led to the Justice Department to file an emergency application calling for the High Court to overturn the decision.
Border Patrol in the month of December processed more migrants entering the United States illegally than any month in the history of that agency. Why is that happening? How do you explain it?
So we are seeing the greatest number of displaced people, not only at our southern border, not only in the Western Hemisphere, but across the globe. You know, I am involved in bilateral and multilateral meetings with my counterparts from foreign countries in Europe, in Asia, in the Indo-Pacific, all over the world. And migration, the challenge of displaced people, is a subject that comes up in every single conversation. We have the effects of climate change, poverty, increasing level of authoritarianism, the very many challenges that are at the root cause of the displacement of people around the world.
Not one bus from Texas has complied.
It's been almost a week since Mayor Eric Adams issued an executive order that limits buses from dropping off migrants in the city unannounced. And his administration says not a single bus has complied. Instead, buses being sent from Texas have been dropping off migrants in areas like New Jersey, then buying them a train ticket to the city in order to avoid being fined or sued.
Our goal is not to hold any of this chaotic tactic against the migrants who are arriving.
Adams has been encouraging municipalities outside of the city to implement their own executive orders similar to his. So far, only the town of Clarkstown in Rockland County has done so.
Mayor Adams targeting charter buses that are bringing thousands of migrants to New York City. The city now suing 17 companies who are profiting from transporting asylum seekers.
A lawsuit calling their actions a testament of evil intent.
This is the latest attempt by the city to try and stop this steady flow of migrants into New York, which has forced the city to make drastic budget cuts and open hundreds of new shelter sites. In this court filing today, the city says that in less than 2 years, these bus companies have transported more than 33,000 migrants from Texas to New York.
Today's lawsuit should serve as a warning to all those who break the law in this way.
Mayor Eric Adams announcing that the city has filed a lawsuit against 17 charter bus companies for transporting more than 33,000 migrants from Texas to New York City since the spring of 2022. The city is seeking more than $700 million from these companies to cover the costs of caring and sheltering these migrants.
Have you been outsmarted by the Texas governor, Greg Abbott?
No, anyone who has a diabolical mind would do diabolical things to just treat people in an inhumane way.
This city has always been a sanctuary city, and we've always managed those who wanted to come to New York City to pursue the American dream.
The concern is that people are coming in faster than we've normally seen. It's yet to be seen how much that will cost. What I can tell you is that the crisis up to this point has cost $3 billion. And as more people come, the cost continues to go up. The issue for New York is that they're not only dealing with newly arrived migrants, they're dealing with folks that have already been in New York City housing and are now being reticketed. So all of these folks already had free housing here in New York, and then they were given eviction notices, essentially 30 or 60-day notices telling them that they have to leave their shelter. But because this is a sanctuary city, housing is guaranteed. So if they wait in line, they can reapply and then be rehoused. And what you're seeing is this line which wraps around the corner, and it has been this long all day long. But the thing is, for sanctuary cities and states, they complain about the cost, but they continue to add services. I want to show you California. As of yesterday, California has added a health care benefit for migrants. They are now going to extend free health care to migrants between the ages of 26 and 49. That's going to cover 700,000 additional people and cost the state $2.6 billion each year. Now, that's added onto that's added onto California's deficit, which is already $68 billion.
We're hearing from many big city mayors, governors, lots of them Democrats, asking Washington to do more. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, repeatedly has said that in recent days. So what more is Washington going to do, if anything, to answer their calls for help?
So we have taken action on the border, and we've taken action with respect to the challenges that cities across the country are facing. Let me identify one fundamental problem here, and that is the fact that we have one governor in the state of Texas who is refusing to cooperate with other governors and other local officials and coordinate efforts to address a challenge that our country, which this country should stand united to address, that our country is facing. And it's a remarkable failure of governance.
We've seen the conditions worsening because of the tactics that continue to be worsening. Now we see Governor Abbott even sending people by plane, which is putting really our communities not only at risk, but it is really putting our whole communities at the brink of collapse.
But what we can have is a governor in the state of Texas acting the way he is acting. And quite frankly, the rogue buses that are being dropped off across this country in the middle of the night, leaving people with no real support at all, no coordination with the local municipalities. That type of chaos is certainly dividing our country. What is very clear is that not only are we providing mental health related services as well as vaccinations and health screenings and providing medical health care for these families when they arrive, the moment they get off those buses, we're not seeing that same treatment at the border. In other words, there's no health screenings, no vaccinations. That process at the border is absolutely raggedy and reckless, but we cannot have a governor who decides that he's going to cling to the vestiges of Jefferson Davis.
What? Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration, nonstop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Elections have consequences.